Good morning, Vikings, and welcome back to a new school year. I hope everybody is having a good morning this morning and enjoyed sleeping in for a few extra minutes with our late start at 8 o'clock this year. So as we start the school year, I want to make sure that we are all aware of the 6 R's and how this tool is being used in our classrooms across the school to make sure that we are all on the same page with what needs to be happening in order to improve our restorative culture, make sure that we are building mutual respect between our teachers and ourselves and our peers, and really setting the right classroom culture and the tone in our classrooms to make sure that learning is happening at the highest level. So I'm going to go through the 6 R's. Many of you probably have a poster on the wall in your classrooms that reviews what those are. They're written behind me on the board, though granted it's a little bit hard to read most likely because they are backwards. So bear with me as I talk through them. So the first R is respect. And if we're being respectful of ourselves, of our teacher, of our peers, and our time together in our classroom, and we're making sure that we understand what it means to have mutual respect between all of those individuals, then we're going to be fine. As long as we're not talking over one another, we're not using words or language that is going to be harmful or offensive to another person, we're not distracting our peers or doing something that's distracting to the lesson overall or the teacher, then we're going to be in a good place, and we don't even really need to worry about the rest of the R's. But we know that many times there are things that are not meeting the expectations, or we're not perfect all the time. Mistakes happen. And so that second R is remind. And so if I am a classroom teacher, and let's say that I have said to my class, we've got to work independently and silently for the next 10 minutes to make sure that we can get this done, and then there's a side conversation going on, well, that's when we're at remind. And so I might stop and say to the whole class, guys, we are not meeting the expectations right now. We have got to get back on track. I am going to remind every single person in this room that we should not be talking and we need to be working independently. So you're hearing that word remind. That should trigger you to look up at that poster and see, okay, I'm at that second step, which means that something I'm doing or something that's happening in this room with my peers is not meeting those expectations of mutual respect. I need to get myself back on track. If that behavior is corrected and we're back on track and we're good to go, then we're back at respect and we're doing just fine. But if the side conversation continues, then we're going to get to that third R, which is redirect. And if you are the person who's talking, or you're talking with a group of friends, your teacher may come over to you and say quietly, like, hey guys, I'm going to redirect everybody over here that we have got to get on board and we need to stop talking. I've already given the whole class a reminder. So now I'm asking the 3 of you, you need to redirect your energy and turn it back to our work, and we should not be talking. This should be a sign to you like, oof, we already set expectations at the beginning. The whole class got a reminder. This is my 3rd warning. This is the 3rd time that I am being asked to get on board with that mutual respect. All right? So again, you can see that language, you hear it and how your teacher is addressing it. They're asking you to redirect. All right, so I know then if I look, the next step would be reflect. And so if I'm not able to get myself back on track, that sends a message to my teacher that something's really going on, because I've been given 3 warnings and I haven't been able to correct my own behavior to get back on track with the class, and I might need to step out if that continues. So let's just say, for instance, that after that 3rd redirection, the side conversation is still happening. Now as a teacher, I'm going to say, man, there's something going on with this student. I'm going to give them a moment to step to the back of the classroom or maybe step outside the door for a minute. And I'm going to ask them to reflect on like what is happening today that they can't get themselves back on track and stop this conversation until a later time. And maybe it is that they need something from me. Maybe they need a different support, and I need to give them that opportunity as the teacher to let me know what that is. Or maybe there's something that is really heavy on their mind right now that happened this morning at home, and I do want them to be able to tell me, like, Miss, I'm just having a really, really hard day right now, and I need a few minutes just to like refocus, and then I can come back in and get on track. And that's the goal with all of the 6Rs, that students, you are given the respect and the opportunity to handle yourselves like young adults and get back on track. Because mistakes happen, life is happening around us, but we know that when we're here and when we're in our classrooms, we need to be focused in doing what is expected of us and being respectful to everybody who's in that space. So the R's are the opportunity for you to hear, oof, I'm off track a little bit, or something needs to happen or change right now. And to do that and to get yourselves back on track to correct whatever is going on. Let's say that the reflection happens. The student steps outside, they take a few minutes, they come back in and they say, Ms. Gorka, I'm good to go. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to get back on track. And 5 minutes later, the same behavior is taking place, or maybe something else is happening. Maybe now they're on their cell phone. Well, I'm going to say to that student, hey, student, you know, we've talked about this 5 times today. I can't take up any more time of class, and it's becoming too distracting to your peers and what's going on in our classroom. I'm going to ask you to head down to the deans for the rest of the period. That's that 5th R, that's remove. I'm gonna ask you to take your stuff and head down to the deans for the rest of the period, and we've gotta come back together later outside of this space and figure out what we need to do differently tomorrow. The 6th R is restore or repair. Because if I as a teacher have had to ask you 5 times to change something to get on the same page with us as a class and to make sure that we're being respectful of our learning, I might be feeling really frustrated. And you as a student, if you've been asked to leave the classroom, you might also be feeling frustrated. We're not going to hold on to those feelings without coming together and having a conversation about that, restoring that, repairing that, figuring out what harm was caused before coming back into class the next day. So that might be a conversation with the restorative justice coordinator. That might be a conversation that you and the teacher just have one-on-one. But if you're being asked to leave class, then the expectation is that we're coming together to figure out what went wrong that day and how do we make sure that we are in a better place the following class period. Now, I want to be really clear that there's flexibility within this. There might be some days that your teacher gives the class 4 reminders before moving on to a redirect. There might be other days that you as an individual student get 2 or 3 redirects. And there might be other days that your teacher says, guys, we're taking an exam or we're writing an essay. Here are the expectations. I need you to hear me really clearly. There will be no reminders today. We have to be on track the entire time, and I need you with me. So listen to your teacher. The goal of the 6Rs is that we're using similar language in all of our classrooms that you students are familiar with, and that you understand, oof, if I'm hearing redirect, I know that I've already been given a reminder and the expectation has been set as a full class of what needs to be happening, and I need to get myself back on track. If you have any questions about this, let your teacher know, or you can find me or Miss Lucio or Mr. Hall at any point in time, and we're happy to talk about this with you. I hope that you guys have an awesome first day back today. I'm excited to see you all and connect at some point today or through the week, and I will see you all later.